Okay, so this is going to be the start of my live stream tonight, and I'm just checking everything. It looks like I've got good audio quality here. So I've got audio, I've got my assignment up, and I've got the chat up. Okay, so hello everybody. This is the start of the stream. There's nobody here right now, but I hope that some people join me tonight. Let me just go ahead and post to the classroom and tell everybody that I'm live. So this is video game design. We are working on JavaScript today. Last time I left off at using graphics in JavaScript, and now I am starting in Booleans, and I'm going to try and work through for loops tonight, just the for loops in JavaScript here, because our next assignment after that is due on May 1st. So we're going to try and work through Booleans, logical operators, comparison operators, if statements, and for loops. So for you students who have done a language previously, like if you have worked, last year we were working in Java, and then you've done previous work in Python, and you've done previous work in some other languages as well. These are all things that exist pretty much in every language, right? It's nothing new. It's not like graphics, where graphics were kind of a new thing for us. But all of these are basic programming structures that are important for when we get into things later. So I'm just going to post to the classroom. And I will get the live stream to share. Nobody really shows up to these video game design ones, but that's okay. I'll do them anyway. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do Booleans. And we'll watch the video real quick on Booleans. Now, again, I kind of skip through the videos because I know what a Boolean is, right? True or false value, all I need to know is really what I can do that's special with it.
Considered to be the founder of computer science. So we'll look at a quick example with Booleans, and we'll declare a variable called logged in, and we'll set it equal to true.
Sorry guys, 1 second. I realize that I am not capturing any of this audio, so audio output capture. And I want to use my hands-free headset and go okay, and then let's
go. And type that up. So we say logged in equals true, and then we print line user logged in plus logged in. And we see the value is true. Similarly, we could have had false. Those are the only two ways that you write Booleans. There's no quotes. It's just true and false are the keywords there.
Okay, so that was a really short video. So let's just go ahead and move on to the exercises. Okay, so the only two values are true and false. This is true for all Booleans, right? Boolean values are just true and false values, guys. Okay, logged in equals false. Okay, yada yada. I'm just gonna continue. So it's just a variable that we initialize that we call true or false. And you see how it's kind of lit up, or it's got like this blue text here, right? So we can see that the value is false, and that false is actually a special value. It's not just like a string. Okay, program should declare a Boolean that describes whether or not you have a dog, and then you print out this information to the user. Okay, so okay. Okay, so var dog ownership. I'll just say dog owner equals false because I do not own a dog. And we want to print out the value. Print out an informative message to the user. So do a little println here. I do not own a dog. Okay. Check the code. Style, I'm missing a semicolon. Okay. And instead, I'm going to say, I am a dog owner. Plus dog owner. So the reason why I'm writing it like this is that it wants me to, our code should print a Boolean value, right? That was interesting. Oh, that still is interesting. Okay. Okay, so it's asking that we must use print or println. Your code should print a Boolean value. Let's try this one. Okay, so I want to submit the check code again, right? So the difference here is if we go over here to run code, I am a dog owner, false, right? So like that's all they want is they want you to be able to print this Boolean value, which is really more of like what we did in variables, if we're being honest. Oh, that's a lot better background. How do I get over there? Okay, let's just go this way. All right, that's a lot better. Okay, my face is a little bit that way. Okay, all right, cool. And then I'll just, oh, there we go. Just want to kind of get that light out of the background. All right, perfect. Okay, so that was it, guys. That was it. So let's go. So that was the next section. So we're done with that section now. So now we can do logical operators. See, Booleans was super easy, guys.
Hi, in this video we are going to introduce logical operators. So logical operators let us connect and modify Boolean expressions. So let's figure out exactly what that means. First, the three logical operators that we have are not, which we represent with the exclamation point, or, which we represent with the two vertical bars, and that which we represent with the two ampersand characters. Let's look at the not operator first. So let's say we want to represent a light switch. We write var light on equals true, and we can see in our box we have the value true, and that represents the light being on. And then the second line we say light on equals not light on. What that does, it takes the value of light on previously and negates it, takes the opposite. So let's look at that in the program. So var light on equals true. Then we can say print line light on. Run that, we see the light is on. If we say light on equals not light on, and then we print that out again, we'll see that it's no longer on. And if we repeat these last two lines, we'll see that the light will go back on again. So this not is sort of taking the opposite of the previous value.
I just want to comment on something here. So what he's doing is each time he's making an assignment that changes the value of light on. So it's not just taking it in an instant, it is permanently changing light on to being false at that point. So this is a great way to control something like a switch.
The next operator is the AND operator. For example, you can only be U.S. president if you are both at least 35 years old and are a U.S. citizen. So let's write a program to determine if you can be a U.S. president. So we'll say var at least 35 equals, and we'll say read Boolean. So that lets us get a true/false value from the user. Are you at least 35 years old? Okay, and then we'll say var is US citizen equals read Boolean. Are you a US citizen? And then finally, var can be president equals, well, you have to be at least 35 and those two special characters is US citizen. So print line can be president plus can be president. So let's run that program. So are you at least 35 years old? We'll say false. Are you a citizen? True. Can be president? False. So one of those was false, so the overall expression is false. The last one is the OR operator. And so a value is true if one or the other is true, or if both are true. So for example, we can figure out if you are wasting time if you are on Facebook or if you are on email. So as example in a program, we say on Facebook is true, on email is false, but is wasting time is true if you're on Facebook or if you're on email. So we'll see that you are wasting time. But if both are false, then wasting time is also false.
Okay. So and or not, those are important. We'll see a lot of really good examples here in a minute about why those are so important. So the and operator is two ampersands. If you've done any Swift, you recognize that. The or operator, there's been a lot of effort lately to try and kind of standardize this to where, if you have these symbols mean the same thing across multiple languages. So that's a good thing for us. After the following codes runs, what is the value of is weekend? Oh, okay. So is Saturday true? Is Sunday false? Is Saturday or is Sunday? So is Saturday will be assigned a value of, well, is Saturday is true, is Sunday is false, true or false, that will result in a true value. So this should be true here. Okay, so this is an example for the lesson, and this is just the example that he went through was the lights. I'm just going to skip through it. Please look at it if you're still confused. Okay, and the same thing. I'm not really super interested in the examples because I kind of understand those concepts. But if you're still having trouble understanding the and or not, go ahead and take some time. Look at those examples, change the values, and see if that changes the outcomes of that. And the wasting time one. It's not wasting time if you're on email. All right, exercise, can you graduate? This is a very appropriate one for you group of seniors. Okay, so can we graduate? So let's see what our assignment is. Ask for the two, let's just pull this out, make that nice and big. Oh my. Okay, well, that's not any bigger. Ask the user for two Boolean statements. The first should be stored in a variable telling whether or not they have enough units, credits, and the second should be stored whether or not they have met the requirements. They can only graduate if they have enough units and have met the requirements. Print out whether or not they can graduate. Okay, so var we'll create a variable called units equals, and we'll say true, var requirements equals false. Print, and then we will create a variable called var. So we know that called grad ready. So here's the thing, is that we know that this is going to get assigned a value based on if. So if you do not have enough credits, you don't graduate. If you don't meet your other graduation requirements, you don't graduate. So both of them are disqualifying. So that means that this is going to be an and statement here. And they even tell us this is going to be an and. So for grad ready to be true, we have to have both of these things be true. So we're going to say units and requirements. Print and we're just going to print grad ready here. And we're going to just see if it lets us do this. So let's check the code. Missing, I always miss these semicolons, guys. Okay, if I have enough credits. Oh, that's kind of dumb. Okay. Maybe it just wants it wants us to be able to graduate, so I guess that we have to use true here. Nope. Okay, so this is, okay, so this can be false. Okay, so let's think about this more. If I have enough credits but don't meet the grad requirements, I should not be able to graduate. Let's just copy this and see. So I think that what's happening here is that it wants us to actually, because I noticed here that this first one is successful. Units and requirements. Okay. Yeah, so let's just see if it wants us to do this. So I'm not really sure where my hang-up is here right now, but let's just try a bunch of different things and see if it works. So that can be true, and that can be true. I don't really like this very much, guys. No, this is bad coding anyway. Okay, so units equals false. Requirements equals true. Okay, and then print. There's a lot better way to code this, but we haven't gotten there in our exercises yet. So I'm a little hesitant to use something that we haven't covered in this specific instance. Oh, well, let's see if it didn't like my code there. So let's just go ahead and comment this out. So I noticed that I was using the wrong statement for printing. So I want to see if that was my problem. And then check the code again. Okay, there's only one that is wrong here now, which is also really weird, right? That only one case is wrong. So I think that really what it wants us to do is code each case and then like redo this each time, but let's see. Because I would hate to have to write 16 lines of code for this. Okay, so let's just try and do true here and see if that's what it's mad about. It is, okay. So I'm not a huge fan of this because what this is doing is it's hard coding each of the cases. And what that does is when it's running through the checks over here, you really should have 4 sets of code, right? So you should have each case laid out here. So if you have false and false, right? And then you have true, true, and then you should have a case where it is true and then false, and then the last case can be false and true. But I don't think that this does a great job of actually testing whether or not you know what these 4 cases are. But these are the 4 cases. I mean, we were able to do it with 2, right? Because 3 of the cases should give back false. But we're just going to go ahead and submit and continue there. Okay, school's out. Write a program to determine if there is no school today. First, ask the user if today is a weekday. Store that in a Boolean value, right? Then ask the user if today is a holiday. Store that in a different location. Okay. Again, I don't remember, have we done if statements yet? Booleans, using graphics. We have not done a single we don't get to if statements until lesson 9, so I'm not really sure why we are doing all of these Boolean statements this early, because there's not even any conditional code that we're running. Anyway, okay, so we are trying to determine if it is a weekday. First, we're taking the input from the user, right? So we're going to say, is today a weekday? Is today a holiday? And there is no school today. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to ask the question to the user twice, right? So we want to ask them the question, is today a weekday? And we want to ask the question, is today a holiday? So the first question will be, so some var, right? And we want to say, we'll just say weekday. Var weekday is equal to, remember we're going to use a read line, and actually we want to see, let's go to the docs and go to user input and see if there is a read line that will go, see, we have this great one. It's called read Boolean, and we have used these read statements before. So I'm going to go ahead, back in user input, we learned how to do this. Specifically, I want a Boolean, so I'm going to use, my read Boolean, because I want to specify what kind of thing the user is inputting, because it makes it easier for me later. So is today a weekday? Okay, and then var, let's go back to our assignment, is equal to read Boolean, is today a holiday? And I will give it its semicolons that it wants so desperately. So, var, so var is school. So we'll just say school, var school is equal to, so this should be a, so is school should be true if it is neither a weekend nor a holiday, right? So if it is either a weekend or a holiday, then we have no school, right? Which means that both weekend and holiday have to be false for this to work out. So if it is not a weekday and it is not a holiday, then school is true, right? And this is exactly what we want to see. So then we will say print line, there is no school today. And we're going to change this to be no school. And we're going to change this, actually, so no school occurs if it is a weekday or it is a holiday. So I'm just going to replace this with or logic. They're very, I mean, those are two sides to the same coin. I think that this matches what the assignment wants a lot better. So is today a weekday? True. Is today a holiday? False. There is no school. Well, it would be great if I would print the variable, right? No school. Okay, so if I say true, it's a weekday, and is today a, oh, man, guys, I'm really bummed out. So I was thinking in holiday, or I was thinking in weekend logic. So if today is a weekday, that should be true. So if it's true, then we want no school to be true, right? So I'm going to go back. If it is a weekday and it is not a holiday, then there is no school should be false. Ugh. So I chose the worst way to do this. Okay, so let's think of it this way. So variable no school, right? So we want no school to occur when it is a weekday, or when it is not a weekday and it is, as you can see, Boolean logic is one of the tougher things that you can do, and I'm making a fool of myself doing this right now, but that's okay. So print line, that's the danger of live TV. Yay. All right, so we have some variable. It's called no school, right? At the end, I want to print a line. There is no school today. And it'll either say true or it'll say false. So when does no school occur? Well, no school occurs when it is either not a weekday or it is a holiday. Phew. So we just had to reverse our logic entirely, right? And we just have to think about this in English, in our native language, or in Spanish, if that's your native language, and just think about it there for a second, right? And you need to be careful. You need to pay attention to details. You don't need to get weekdays confused with weekends. So let's try this one more time. Is today a weekday? True. Today is a weekday. Is today a holiday? False. And this is going to be, I was totally wrong, right? So let's see. It is a weekday. Sorry, it is a weekday and it is not a holiday. Okay, I'm gonna just check the code and see what I'm doing wrong. Oh, okay, so my logic was correct. Guys, I have no idea how I got to the correct logic there. I really don't. No school occurs when it is not a weekday or it is a holiday. I'm sorry, guys. That was a total mess of an exercise. We'll see if we can do a little bit better here with comparison operators. But in on the bright side, we're about halfway through the session, and we have if statements and for loops after this. And those are way easier than what we've just been doing. All right, so let's watch this short video about comparison operators.
Hi, in this video we are going to introduce comparison operators. Comparison operators let us compare two values. So let's look at an example of that. Here I declare a variable x with the value 15 and a variable y with the value 10. And then I write the line var z equals x greater than y. And z will now be assigned the value true because x, which is 15, is greater than y, which is 10. So if we look, we have 6 comparison operators that we'll be using. One is equal, and we have 2 equal signs. One is not equal, and we have an exclamation point and then an equal sign. We can test less than using the less than character, greater than, and then less than or equal, or greater than or equal. So, for example, if we want to see if someone is old enough to go into a bar, we can read in an int and see if that age is greater than or equal to 21. So let's write that up in our editor. Age equals read int, what is your age? And then we say old enough equals age is greater than or equal to 21. Then we'll print line can enter plus old enough. So let's run that. If we say our age is 25, then we can enter the bar. That's true. But if we run and we say our age is 19, then we can't enter the bar. Let's look at another example. Here, we'll read an integer from the user, which is their grade, so what percentage they got. And what we want to figure out is whether they were in the B range. And they're in the B range if their grade was greater than or equal to 80.
Okay, so that other one was just combining what we know about comparison operators and what we were working on previously. Sorry, I was just looking to see if somebody had joined the stream. All right, so what is the proper way to compare if two values are equal in a Boolean expression in Java? Well, we are going to use that double equal sign. So this symbol here in programming means assignment. It means is. It means this thing is this other thing. So to distinguish that from the equal sign that we love in mathematics is we just use 2 of them because why not? Proper for not equals, not comes in front, right? So it is not equals. I am all kind of whitewashed out. That other light is kind of annoying. Okay, there we go. We're going to press continue. This is an example for this lesson, voting age. Oh, so they changed it from bar age to voting age, huh? They should probably change that in the video too. I noticed that. And I was like, oh, this is for high schoolers, my friends. That's hilarious that they changed it in the assignment, but not in the video there. Okay, so let's go ahead and do an exercise. We have 2 here, and then we'll move on to lesson 9. Write a program that determines if the user rolled doubles in dice. Read in 2 integers from the user, which represent dice rolls. Okay, create a variable called roll doubles. Okay, so we have a variable called roll1 equals read int, right? And remember, a die can only be read between 1 and 6. Then bar. I'm just going to copy that and then paste it. Roll2, read int. Okay. Bar rolled doubles equals okay. Okay, yeah, so then we're going to just check and see if roll1 equals roll2. And this is really nice that you can do this in this language. This is kind of a unique thing. And this is probably what gives JavaScript so much power, is the fact that you can do a really awful assignment like this, right? JavaScript is known as being weakly typed, which means that you don't have to be too careful about what data you're using. But in other languages, this type of an expression becomes really nasty really quickly. Okay, and then we're going to do a print line. Okay, we're going to run the code, and we're going to say 1, and we're going to say 1, and I keep doing this. So we're going to come back over here, and we're going to actually print the variable. Okay, we're going to run the code one more time. 1, 1, this should be true. All right, let's check the code. It doesn't like me because my style is wrong. And let's check it one more time. All right, cool. Beautiful. And we're on to the next exercise. Write a program that gets 3 variables, their points per game, their rebounds per game, and their assists per game. Figure out if they are an all-star, 25 points per game, or they got, okay. So let's just talk about the logic here, right? So there's a lot of cases going on here. So we have 3 variables from the user. So let's just go ahead and project those out. Var points, var, this is going to be rebounds, and then var assists. And all of these are going to be an integer, right? These are all going to be whole numbers. So here in a second, when we go to build out the assignment operator, we know that they're all going to be integers. I'm just going to write this out. So read int okay. So after I get those 3 things, I want to create a variable called all-star, right? Not all-star, all-star. So they are an all-star if they got at least 25 points per game. So I want to say points is greater than at least 25. Okay, so greater than or equal to 25, right? Or they got at least, and I am not entirely sure if this is going to work out, but I want it to, so we will see. Or they got at least 10 points. So points is greater than or equal to 10. And at least 10 rebounds. So rebounds is greater than or equal to 10. And assists is greater than or equal to 10. All right. So now we just need to get that user input, right? Enter the number of, and I'm just going to copy this assignment operation here, and then I'm going to fill in the thing that I wanted to fill in. Number of points, number of rebounds, and the number of assists. Okay, so what I want to do, my main test case that I want to run is I want to do points that are less than 25. So I'm going to choose 20 points. I'm going to say 11 rebounds and 11 assists. Okay, and obviously I need to print when we'll say all-star plus all-star, and let's try that one more time. So 20, 11, 11, and my all-star status is true here. And then the other main thing is, what if we have 9, or let's say 24 points, you have 9 rebounds and 9 assists, so you just barely would. Okay, so you barely miss out on being an all-star, right? Because you never quite hit those things. So let's submit and continue. Semicolons, I am apparently a semicolon monster here, which I really don't like the fact that they let us run code without the proper syntax, because that's really terrible training right there. You know? Because if they really wanted me to train to use the syntax, then they would say, hey, buddy, if you don't use it, your code won't run. Because if my code didn't run, I would really start remembering those a lot more. All right, let's watch this last YouTube video, because after this, it'll be 4 loops. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Oh, no, I've got to do 4 loops as well. So we've got about 20 minutes, so we've got some time.
Hi, in this video we are going to introduce if statements. So, do you remember if statements in Carol? Well, JavaScript has if statements too. And we've been learning a lot recently about Boolean expressions, and this all sort of builds up to if statements. So the format of an if statement, the general form, is if, and then paren, open paren, and then some Boolean expression, and then close paren, and then an open brace, and then whatever code gets executed only if that Boolean expression evaluates to true. The code between the brackets get executed. And then similarly, we have an if-else statement. So if that Boolean expression is true, then the code between this first set of braces gets executed. If it's false, then the code between the second. And we'll print.
This stuff is very boring if you are familiar with it, because this is just a new way to do something that's very familiar, right? This is not very interesting to me. If you guys want to watch it, please go ahead.
If that number is the expression that will evaluate to true or false. Let's look at another example. I have the name Sam, nothing gets printed. But if I then use an if-else statement to print out the proper message. So what we're
okay, so here's an important thing here, is that we are seeing this symbol here, this modulo symbol. I believe that we have previously encountered it, but just remember, so if a number mod 2 is 0, then it's even, meaning all numbers that are divisible by 2 and give a remainder of 0, right, then it's even. Else it's going to be odd.
What we're going to do here is read a number from the user and figure out what.
And again, you guys can go through these examples
if the remainder
that he is talking about here after the video as well. So you don't even necessarily need to watch the video to interact with these.
When you divide by 2 is equal to 0. And if it is, then we'll say that number is even. We'll test an if-else statement. So let's look at this one in our code editor. And then we're going to read a password from the match. And note that you can have multiple lines of code in if match.
Okay, what kind of statement allows us? Well, which one did we just learn about? It's an if statement. So if the condition is true, run one thing, else run the other thing. And remember, numbers that are divisible by 2, returning 0 will be true for those even numbers. Okay, I've seen this example. Oh, this is why I'm not getting the little blue orbs anymore, is because of what I'm doing here. That's exactly why I don't get my blue orbs anymore, because I'm not looking at the examples properly. Oh well, I don't really care too much. Okay, so you should do all this. ABC 1, 2, 3. Passwords match. Ooh, that makes me kind of upset. Okay, exercises. Write a prompt, or write a program that prompts the user for their age and determines if they are a teenager. Someone is a teenager if their age is greater than or equal to 13 and less than or equal to 19. Okay, too easy. Okay, so var, age equals read int, what is your age? Semicolon, I'm remembering my semicolon this time. Okay, so if age, if, and then age is, it was less than 19, and age is greater than or equal to 13, curly Q brackets, print the line, you are a teenager. And I want to make sure that it's happy with me, so I'll do that. Check my code. I'm 20, but I'm not a teen. Oh. Whatever else. Are not a teenager. So it just wants us to account for the case that they just wanted an else statement. I was just doing the if. I was being lazy. Okay, so I have a weird problem here. So I'm 15 years old and I am a teenager. Yes. Oh, yes, you are a teenager. Sometimes they are very particular about the messages that they want us to say as well, right? So I had to make sure that I matched. And that's weird that they are so strict here, but not as strict here. Anyway. Okay, stoplight. Write a program that prompts the user for a color, red, yellow, or green, the colors of a stoplight. Then using the if statement and else statement, print the user a message describing what they should do. If the color was red, you would say something like, red light, you should stop. As a bonus, you can use else if. Check out else if in the docs tab. Okay. Okay, so we want to take in, so var light color is equal to read line, please type in the light's color. Oops. And let's go ahead and change this to be a double because I want to use one of these inside. Okay, so if light color equal red. Do this thing. Let's go and look at the docs and see what it means about else if. Control structures, if and else. Else if condition 2. Okay, so then on this line we can write yellow. And then on this line we can do else if light color equal green. Okay. So in this first one, it's going to be a print and let's see what it wants us to do. Assignment. So red light, you should stop. Sometimes we can do other things. Okay, and then, so really this is pretty simple, right? We're just keying this off of a very simple user input to do these things here. So let's just kind of space these out so you can kind of get a better idea of what each one is or contains. Oop. Okay, so we have our three cases, right? And of course, we're going to put our semicolons at the end of them. Okay, so let's see if this works. Oop. Ha! I've done something. Let's see what it is. Error, caught syntax error, invalid or unexpected token. Let's try this one more time. Ooh, wow, I have a real syntax error now. Okay, let's see. Okay, that line. Unexpected token. Ah, I see what this is. I did that thing, and then I forgot to fix it. Read line is not defined. Because I need to capitalize read line. See, look at all these little errors. Okay, so red, you should stop. Let's check the code. Okay, be careful now. You should prepare to stop. Okay, submit and continue. Okay, and then we're doing our loops, and that'll be it.
Hi, in this video we are going to introduce basic for loops in JavaScript. So first, for loops in JavaScript are the same as they are in Carol, but now we know enough to demystify the different parts to understand what the syntax of a for loop means. So if you remember from Carol, a for loop looks like this. We write for var I equals 0, semicolon, I is less than count, I++, and count is the number of times that we want to execute the code that appears between the curly braces. So let's break down this for loop and try and understand what it means. We'll look at this specific example here where we've inserted the number 3, and we'll step through it, we'll trace through it, and tracing means going through the code step by step. We'll trace through it and figure out what's going on. So here, this box is the console, so we have the output of our program here, and right here I have a box to represent the value of the variable I. So let's trace through this code. So first we initialize, and we write var I equals 0. So we have a variable I, and we set its value equal to 0. Then the second part is the test. So we see here, is I less than 3? Well, yes, I is 0, and 0 is less than 3. So then we'll execute the code in between the curly braces. So we print line I, so we get a 0 output. And then after we execute the code in the for loop, we go I++. So the variable I increments or goes up by 1. So now I is 1. And so now we check, okay, well, is I less than 3? Well, 1 is less than 3. So then we execute the code. In the body of the for loop, we print line I. Now we increment I++, so I now has the value 2. And then we go here with a test. We say, is I less than 3? Well, I is 2, and 2 is less than 3, so we print line I. And then we go I++. I now gets the value 3. And here we have the test. Well, is I less than 3? Well, 3 is not less than 3. 3 is equal to 3. So the value of this is false. And when this test is false, the for loop is over. And so this is why when we go from 0 until less than 3, we go 3 times. We do 1, 0, 1 for I is 1, and 1 for I is 2. So let's go into our code editor and explore this. So we'll write out this for loop. For var I is 0, I is less than 3, I++. And then we'll print line I. Okay, so if I run this program, we get the numbers 0, 1, and 2 print out. So remember, if I change this to 10, then we'll get the numbers 0 through 9. Also, remember, you can print have multiple lines of code in the for loop. So let's say I change this back to 3, and I print line I, and then I also print line I times 2. So here we get, and we'll add a string here to make it clear. We'll say I plus I's value, and then 2I plus I times 2. So here you go. First I is 0, and then 2I is 0, I is 1, 2I is 2. I is 2, and then 2I is 4.
These are really powerful, and these are a little bit different than maybe something. Most of the time, Java will work similarly to this, but Java, a lot of you guys were in Computer Science 2 last year, so Java, you didn't really use this iterator here in the loop itself, right? So we didn't use I++ here. A lot of the times we would iterate it inside of the loop. So let's just go ahead and let him finish that. Okay, and then continue. Okay, how many times will the following program print hello? Starts at 0, goes to 5. Well, it goes to just under 5, but it's starting at 0, so this will loop 5 times. And that is, oh, there's some green there, so I feel like that's correct. I feel right. Okay, so in the following code, what will be the last number to print to the screen before the program finishes? Okay, so it goes from 0 to 10, and then the tricky part here is that at the end, right? So if I is divisible by 2, or if I is an even number, then it will print I. Otherwise, it's going to print 2 times I. So the last number that this will work with, right? Because once it reaches 10, then it shuts off, right? So after the last iteration, it hits 10, and then it tries to loop back through, and it can't, right? So we can't do anything with 10. So that leaves us with 9, right? So we know that 9 is not divisible by 2. Therefore, we have to print 9 multiplied by 2. Okay, excellent. Okay, and this was the example that they showed us, and we can continue, and then we've just got our exercises here. You've gotten in trouble in school for coming late. Oh, very naughty of us. Punishment, you have to write, I will not come to school late 100 times. Oh, and we can use a robot to do it. Okay, so function, so for I in, for, that was the wrong language there. Variable I is equal to 0. As long as I is less than 100, I want to do an iteration. And then I want to say println. Oh gosh, what does it want us to say? It wanted us to say, I will not come to school late. Not an issue anymore, right? Okay. And let's check the code. Bam. There we go. Let's run the code. Boop. There we go. I will not come to school late. All done. Thanks. Bye. We can leave the school now. Okay. 2 more exercises, guys. 2 more, and then we'll be done. Oh, we're going to run. Oh, no. We're going back to graphics. All right, so use the for loop to draw the worm. So this is cool because, guys, this is how we draw stuff, right? Is that we start using our new programming knowledge to help us draw. Okay, made up of circles. Use the for loop to draw the circles centered vertically on the screen. Make sure that the worm is still drawn across the whole canvas. Okay. Okay, so for I in. So I want to, we don't know anything about functions yet. Darn it. Okay, so we are going to define this little block of code. So first, I just want to draw one circle. So we'll define some variable, and we'll have it be I. As long as I is less than 1, we'll say I plus plus. And really, this is wrong. Var I is initialized as 0. Okay. Okay, and I want it to draw a circle. So I'm going to go back to my docs, and I'm going to go to a circle, right? So I want to create var circle is equal to circle with a radius. And that circle's radius will be 5, right? And I want the circle dot set position. And I want it to be circle dot get y, right? We'll call it a 50 pixel radius. Okay, so circle dot get y. All right. I don't know how this is going to work out, but we're going to find out. And so, okay, so the very first one should start at the far edge of the screen. And so we're gonna go with, let's just do, we just want to do, for now, let's do circle dot get x as well here, divided by 2, right? Because this will give me the center. This is the killer. This is what I'm trying to do here, is that I'm trying to get the center for these two things. Okay, so we created the circle dot. Okay, and I'm going to call this, instead of calling it circle, I'm going to call it worm segment, because that is a more descriptive name for what I'm doing here, right? So worm segment. Okay, so this is going to be my first one, and it should just create a circle in the center. And I made a mistake. Circle is not defined. Worm segment and worm segment. Nope, I want to do canvas here. Right? I want to use my canvas in this case. I want to use the background to tell me where it should be. Canvas is not defined. Canvas is normally, the canvas is some type of an object, I believe. Okay. Oh, I don't need to get X, I need to get width. Okay. And I need to then also do get height. Okay, let's try this one more time. Okay, so it runs, but it is not a thing right now. Okay, let's see if it's doing anything. Print. Hello. Okay, so something is happening, but let's see if I can say worm segment dot color equals height. Okay. Okay, we'll make it a red worm. Okay, so there's something messing up here, and let's find out what that is. Num circle circles. Okay, the number of circles vertically centered on the screen. Make sure the whole canvas, even if the value of num circles is changed. All right, so this is a major logical problem, but first I really want to make sure that I can draw this circle here, right? Because I'm obviously not doing something right. So I have a variable called worm segment. I'm printing hello. I obviously looped through this, so I just haven't to make a circle. Okay, so I made the circle, right? Okay, set the position, it's X and Y. Get width, width is X. Height is Y. Let's just try and do 100 and 100 here and see if that works. Okay, so for some reason, the issue here is that I am not, let's get rid of that, and let's get rid of that, and let's see if this is my problem. No, okay, so there's something wrong with the way that I'm trying to initialize this circle, right? Let's see if there is, see if it's this line. Because as you can see, I'm not generating any graphics over here. Okay, let's see if it is my code that I have written. Maybe worm segment is a really bad choice here. Okay, so what this is helpful for is it kind of tells me something about what is going on here, right? And I'm just trying to see if any of these things that I'm trying are going to work. And so far, the answer is no. So far, it looks like there's some kind of issue going on. So let me go ahead and try and refresh the web browser and see if that's the problem. Let's run the demo. Okay, well, that's fine. Okay, and run the code. Run the code. Run the code. Test cases. Check the code. Okay. Well, and as you can see, if I do a println over here, my terminal is working just fine down here, right? So there's something to do. It's something with the graphics window here that's not working. I don't know if it's my computer. I don't know if it's the window that I have open. Let's try it here. Still not working there. Okay, so I'm going to skip this exercise for now, but let's go on to Caterpillar and see if we can complete Caterpillar. Okay. So again, I want to come over here and I just want to do a circle, right? And I want to run this code. And I'm still not getting anything to show up in my canvas here. So let's do it this way. So get width okay, and then let's print line the width. Let's see if that's an issue. Okay, so 400. So in theory, right, if I were to say equal to new circle, give it a pixel radius of 100. Okay, and again, 400 and 480. Okay, so let's call that 200 and 240, right? And let's say circle.color. And I feel like a crazy person because this is doing the exact same thing over again. Circle.setColor. But I had just copied all of this, right? Red. Okay, so there's something wrong with the graphics window. I can't see it right here, which is kind of an issue as far as completing the rest of this goes. So let me know if you have the same problem. I'm going to call it right now. I'm going to put in a help desk ticket for this. I'm going to see if I can get it fixed. But this shouldn't be too crazy here, right? So this should be an if-else statement, right? So you should use an if-else statement in the loop, right? So on odd numbers, you should create a red. It starts with a red, so a red circle. And then on even numbers, it should create a green circle. Each time that you iterate in the loop, you should change the set position variable by the length of the segments. So let's say that you have your circles, right? So you have some for loop for for I equals 0 as long as I is less than num circles. You want to do I plus plus, right? And then in this loop, right, you can have an if, I divisible by 2, then, you can say draw a green circle, and then, or actually, so it'll be the opposite, right? So you want to draw a red circle because 0 is divisible by 2, right? Or 0 mod 2 is going to be 0. Dang. Yeah, 0 mod 2 is going to be 0. And then you move on and so on and so forth. So you're going to draw a red circle, and then you're going to have an else statement, which is going to be your green circles. Else draw a green circle, and then every single time, right, within this for loop, you want to say, you want to take your new center position. So probably somewhere up here, you want to say, center is some var center is equal to, you can say center x is equal to, the middle of the canvas in the y direction. And so 0, it'll be 0x, and then it'll be minus, or it'll be positive 240, right, in the y, right? So that'll be 0 here. So then, whatever the radius of your circle is, right, of radius 50, right, and then of radius 50. So whatever you end up drawing, right, you then want to say that you're going to shift the center by a certain amount each time. And so this one will probably start at, well, you want the center to be 25, right? Because you want this to be 50, right? Because you want it to start 50 off the line. And then each time you just say center x starting to get pretty tired. Center x plus equals 50, right? So every single time you want to change the center by 50, but each time that you change colors, right, that you're going to be doing something different with that information. So in each of these, you're going to use that center x to change where the circle is getting drawn, right? But you still want to be moving each time. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. I'm going to put in a help desk ticket to see if I can get the graphics to run on that. I have no idea why that would not work. But I hope that you guys enjoyed the stream. I hope that if you have any questions, you let me know. All of you are watching this by recording, if you're watching it at all. So I hope you have a wonderful